Thank you all for coming to this presentation. I just need the clicker. Thank you. So thank you all for coming to this presentation. I hope that you have been enjoying the sessions. Great sessions so far today. Both this one from Telmo, Hugo, and Vasco, and the other ones before it. So it was a great session, and I hope we will continue this far. So I'm here to talk, as Marta said, I'm here to talk about a new product from BI4ALL, which is data entry. But before I go into details about the product, I would like to tell you a bit of a story on how do we get to this idea. How do we get here? So BI4ALL has just turned 18 years last month. I've been lucky enough to be here for 17 of these 18 years. And we have seen very different solutions in terms of data. When I started working with data solutions, we saw a lot of what you see in the picture. Lots of data silos, lots of isolated solutions. We had solutions that grabbed data from the sales area, or the logistics area, or the commercial area. And those solutions would grab the data, would prepare it into some reports and dashboards, and the solution will be directed to the teams on that specific area. So the sales team will take care of the sales data, the logistics team will take care of the logistics data. So everything was quite isolated. But what we have seen in those 18 years is that the solution has evolved a lot. Not that we still don't have these solutions, we still have some data silos hidden on some of our customers. I'm not telling you why. But what we have moved towards is towards global data hubs. So we are moving to solutions that are more and more integrated. We are integrating multiple systems from multiple countries. Hell, we even have some customers that have different systems on different companies, on different countries. But they want all the information to be integrated in the same place. We are reducing enormously the latency of the data that we are receiving. So we are not working with just daily or weekly jobs, batches that are bringing data. We are getting information on an hourly or even a minute basis. Well, I could spend 1 hour discussing this, but I will waste the topic for the next session of my colleagues. We are also grabbing data from external data sources, from external data providers like market researchers, from sensors, from social networks, from health applications. Well, we have a lot of different data that is not coming from our systems, that is not classified, that we don't own initially. We are also getting a lot of unstructured data, stuff like audio, stuff like unprocessed text, videos. So this is a whole evolution, and the data itself has evolved. So I'll propose you a mental challenge. I have just included in my data warehouse a data source that has all the temperature in the last 5 years, and it has the provision for the temperature in the next few days. Now, I'm not telling you what data warehouse it is, but we just included that data. So I know that tomorrow it's going to be minus 10 degrees. What does that tell you? It tells you nothing, because you don't know the context. Is it minus 10 degrees, but is it a summer month, or is it a winter month? Now I'm telling you, it's minus 10 degrees in January. Well, but are we in Portugal, or are we in Brazil? So is it normal, or is it not? So the data that we have, it's not just about getting the data. We must put on a context to data. And we must add a meaning to that data. What does it mean if we have minus 10 degrees in January? Does it mean, well, it can mean totally different things. But if I'm selling jackets, it means I'm in for a good luck. But if I'm selling ice creams, I'm not going to sell anything this week. So we must have context, meaning. And to add context and meaning, we must add flexibility. our data and our data structures must be flexible enough so that we can incorporate these new meanings and these new contexts that we are creating on our data. And finally, if we have all of these, we must be able to relate it. So now that I know that minus 10 degrees in January in Brazil might be something very strange, how does this relate to my sales data? So this was the driving force behind the creation and behind the idea of data entry. We wanted that our customers would be able to manage their master data, to enrich and to classify what they have on their data entities, to create new concepts, to add new meaning, to add new context to those entities that they have. We want them to be able to map and to bridge and to relate the information that they just created with the information that they already have. And we want them to be able to even input wholly new data. Let's say I want to input data about my campaigns. I want to create a new campaign. I want to select some products. So I want to be able to completely input new stuff. But I want to do it in a flexible, easy to use, and quick to integrate way. And you know, when we discussed this the first time, someone on the back of the room said, "Do you mean Excel? You want to use an Excel file to do that?" Well, yeah, I wanted this to be flexible, like I'm working with an Excel file. So if you are working with Excel file, you want to have a new data table, you want to relate some information, new spreadsheet, you just input your columns, you're ready to go. How much time do you need to teach someone to do that? None. It's easy. Everyone uses Excel. It's way too convenient and it's way too multi-purposed. So it's very easy to use, it's very easy to create new stuff, and it's very easy to relate things. So why don't we use Excel? Well, there are drawbacks on using Excel. It's unstructured, so it's very easy to collapse a structure that you have on an Excel file. It's very easy to put errors in an Excel file. Either you have a very well-protected Excel file, which then it will completely break the first purpose, or at the end, you'll be very prone to errors. Well, I see a lot of people that worked with data here. How many of you, I will ask you to raise your hand, how many of you have had problems with someone that put the wrong data in the wrong column of Excel? Lots of you, right? And this makes it hard to integrate, because when you have a problem in your Excel file, well, you don't even have to have a problem. Someone forgot to close the Excel file last night when they were inputting data. What happens in the morning? Yeah, your whole process failed because someone left the file open. So this was our motivation behind data entry. We want the good parts about having an Excel solution, but we want it to be structured enough that we can trust it into our data platform. So that's why we created data entry. So let's imagine that you are able to work on a browser environment, and you can select your classifications. You can copy-paste cells in your browser, just like you do in an Excel spreadsheet. You can search for a specific term, like ebooks here, and you just copy-paste it. Simple as that. You can even take a few lines, and you just copy-paste these lines. And then you just change the code. So, simple. You do it in a browser environment. You can even take the data that you have on your Excel file, and you copy the data from your Excel into your solution. And that's it. As simple as that. And the good part is that you can mix this flexibility with validations. So I'm putting in a negative price, or I'm putting in a duplicated code. It will show you the error. A bit slow because it's a test environment, but you are able to see your data validations in real time. So you are not able to break it. You are not able to insert data that is wrong and that will mess up your entire data warehouse. Now, the question, how do we set this up? How much code do I need to do, or how much effort do I need to put in creating a new data entity? Well, let's see it. I want to create a new data entity for my product area. I want to create an entity that says discount percentage. So I just add a name, add a few technical details if my technical team needs it. And now I'm just creating the columns. Let's create a column that is a code. I'll say, okay, this is a whole number. I will create a new column that is a name. Let's put in discount name. I just add a technical name on top of it, and I'm saying, okay, this is a name. Well, it's a discount percentage. You don't need a lot of space. So I'm saying 100 characters should do it. Let's put in 100 characters. Now I'm creating the percentage itself. So let's create discount percentage. I'm adding a technical name, and I'm saying, okay, this is an integer, or this is a whole number, but it's a discount percentage. So it should be between 0 and 100. I don't want to give 100% and 10% discount. Well, I don't want to give 100% discount. I think Inês here will mess me up. But this is how easy it is to configure a data entity and to add a validation on top of it. What about security? How do we configure security? How do we handle security here? So let's make a bridge between data entry and Excel. So we are organizing data entry into two categories, models and entities. You can see a model as your Excel workbook. So you have a file that some of you can access and some of you can't. And inside that file, you have several spreadsheets, which we call data entities. So we can have security working on both ways. We can give you access to a specific model, and then you can work on with the entities on that model. And then we can define security on an entity level. And we can say that a specific group of users can have administrator access, so they can actually change the configuration of the data entity, while other users are only able to read or write information. So those able to read can only view, those able to write can fill in the data. So this is how we set up security in a very simple way, so that you can, let's say, you have a model that belongs to your financial area, where you have some financial data entities, and you only want the finance team to access it. So that's how we are able to do it. Now, I've created my discount percentage. I've set up security, I've set up validations. Now, I want it to be related to my product data entity. So I'm editing my product data entity, and I'm adding a new column. And as you can see on the field type, I chose a field type that says entity. And this means that instead of having a blank field where I'm inserting something, I'm creating a list where I'm picking up some items. And where do I pick up these items? I pick them up from the entity that I've just created. And this is how easy it is to just add a new feature into a data entity you already have. Now, we have set up the data entities. We have set up validations. We have set up security. We need one thing more. How do we integrate this? We might have I have a product dimension there. I have a product data entity there. But I have 4,000 SKUs in my inventory. Am I going to do it one by one? Well, not me. I'm lazy. I hate doing repetitive stuff if I don't have to. So how do we integrate this into the solutions that we already have? Well, I'm sorry, I don't have a very good way to show you, because it will be just code running. But what we have developed an export and an import API. So the export API allows you to search for specific entities, to get the configuration of the specific entities, what fields do we have, what data types do we have, and then we can export the information. We can fully export the information. We can filter the export, and let's say we want the products from Portugal, or we can have a paginated export and getting small bunches of data. So this allows you to get the data from data entry and input it into your data warehouse, into your data lake, or you can even connect it to your CRM or to your ERP systems. So it's an API. You can do whatever you need. Same for import. So for import, it's a bit more tricky because we need to teach data entry what to do with the data you just sent. So I'm loading my products. There's a product code that already exists. What do? Do I delete it? And do I delete all the configurations I had? Do I just upload some fields? Do I just crash the import? So this is what we have to teach data entry, and we have to select the correct options to do it. But it allows us, let's say, on a daily basis, to get the new products or the products that were modified on your system, and you just upload them to data entry, you set up the new products, and they are ready to be classified by the data teams. So, what's coming up next for data entry? So we have lots of stuff ready to deliver, and I would like to spend the remaining time that we have explaining what are we going to do right away. So the first one that we are already developing is the hierarchization of our data entities. So let's say that I have a very structured product dimension, lots of categories, subcategories, product types, promotions, discounts, whatever. And I want to see it on a hierarchized way to see, okay, does this make sense? Did I make some mistake classifying the products? Do I have specific promotions that should not be ready on a specific category? So by creating hierarchies, I can see how they will come up on the hierarchy. I'm able to see how my data is going to be structured after I apply the categories and the subcategories and the promotions that I have on my data entity. So this will allow me to quickly correct and make adjustments before I'm sending the data back to the data warehouse or to the data lake. Further away, we will be working on approval workflows. So this means that I'm not just editing and saving data. I will be able, as a user, to configure specific data entities to be versioned and to have an approval workflow. So that means that if I'm working with the promotions of the products, if I change a promotion, I need someone to approve it. I need someone to go there and say, okay, this checks out, so we can move on with this classification. And this will create a new versioning on that particular row of data. So that means that if I'm looking at the historic of the changes, I can see how a specific promotion has evolved across the time. So this is a key feature that it will come up in the future. Another interesting feature is the ability to subscribe to changes. So instead of having to run an API 3, 4, 5, 10 times per day to retrieve our product data, we will be able in the future to allow other systems to subscribe to changes on our data entities. So whenever I change a promotion of a specific product, that change is captured and it's immediately sent to your Salesforce, to your CRM, or to your data warehouse. So that you don't have to rely on specific patches or on specific integrations to run on specific points of time. Other feature, and it's a bit related to the ones that I just said before, is the ability to snapshot your data. So let's say I have a commercial structure of my company, and I want to be able to see every month. I want to take a snapshot and save it on data entry, so that you are always able to have a historic version of the commercial structure without having to rebuild it from scratch based on the versioning that you have. So this is very helpful when you need to create historical versions of the data warehouse. Sometimes we have to manually do this in the data transformation processes, just to make sure that we have the right snapshots. So these are these are the features that we are going to launch in the future. And I would like to end this presentation by forwarding an invitation to all of you. Try it yourself. So you can sign up for a trial. You can find a use case, or we can help you find a use case. How do you see your customers? How do you see your products? How do you see your promotions? How do you manage your master data? So we find a use case, and we try it with your data, and see what you can do with data entry. So, finished a bit early. So I would like to thank you all for coming to this presentation. And if anyone has a question, I will be able to answer a question. Yeah.
You said that data has evolved. Do you think data itself has evolved, or did the data works evolve? What I'm asking is what changed more? Was it the data or the ways we treat the data?
I think it's both. So data has changed a lot because we are now working with data that we didn't used to. So we are working with unstructured data, we are working with logs, with videos, with text. So data itself has changed, but the way we work with data has also changed a lot. We are taking care of data in a more regular fashion, so we are not just limited to daily batches or weekly batches of data. We are treating data several times during the day. We are doing very complex calculations, applying AI or machine learning models. So the way we use the data has also changed a lot. So I think the answer to that question is both, and this has been the drive behind the data entry. I don't know if anyone else has a question. So thank you very much for coming.